Oh, wait. I'm supposed to turn the camera, not myself. Howdy. So, here we are. We're back on the DIY coilover stuff. So, as you had seen before, we have struts. Well, okay, we have chunks of metal that can hold struts and inserts and things like that. So, we've got this that functions as the front. In this video, or at least part of this video, I'm just using it as a reference for the overall dimension, because what we're going to do is this guy here, make him match up to this. So what I'm going to do is use one as a reference to do measurements, however best I can. And I'm even going to be trying to be precise. This cool thing, now that I've got a battery for it. So what I'm going to be doing is walking over here and taking you with me. I'm probably not going to edit it out because why the hell would I? That would be extra time. So here, as you saw in the last video, or may not have, who knows, this is the old front strut housing. What's special about it is the fact that it still has the top part with the threads. So, what my plan is here, I don't know how many cars will ever, will people actually have to do things like this on. But at least for the Alltrac, if you want to make coilovers, you have to cut the old strut and put a new top on it. So my goal here, and you'll watch during the lovely time lapse, is to measure what my difference is there, cut it here, and then weld this piece over to here. So yeah, let me take some measurements and let's get to chopping or cutting or whatever. Let's go. Let's hope my assumptions are correct here. So I have the lowest point of the tube, I feel like pretty well lined up here. So nothing else on the strut itself is gonna line up apparently. So that is the variance that we have between the two struts. Let me mark or get measurements and then mark that thing. So yeah, fun. And here's where we're stopping for this night. So what you saw me do throughout there was cut off those little ends, and you know, so it's like that. I tried to grind at least enough off so that way I could sit there and in the next step, which is probably tomorrow or the next day, I'm going to go through and start trying to weld these on. I'm going to have to see if I have wire for it and make sure that my welder will handle the thickness. Because if you look at the wall there, it's not exact. Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, so it's a thicker material. I'm assuming I'm going to be able to. I'll find out the hard way. So yeah, in the next day or two, we're going to go through, grind off all that jazz. But the main thing is get these two strut ends welded together. And as you saw in the video earlier, I kept the struts that came out of the first pair as they were Alltrac or something. But I'm going to use those to try and keep the strut tubes like round, give it something for me to put both ends over versus trying to balance or try and get that thing to stay pretty easy. I'm not quite sure how well it's going to go, but I'll figure it out. So yeah, let's get to the next day. Here we are a few days later, you know, after having to do other things and yada yada yada. So what we're going to do now is actually attach these pieces here. As you can see, they're kind of cleaned up. I mean, I might grind it down a little more, but I'm going to try and get some tacks on here. As you can see, got a gland nut on here. It's not fully tightened. It's just there to try and keep some form of, in the words of other YouTubers, structural rigidity. It's a strut, so really I'm just trying to keep the damn thing aligned. So yeah, what I'm going to do now, clean this up, weld it, and then rinse and repeat over there. So let's get going. And here we are. Yeah, maybe not the best of welds, but I think if you look at my airbox video, it's a little better. Not great, but I just need to make sure that there's no holes in here. Because what I'm going to have to do is grind this all down till it's like perfectly smooth, because I've still got to grind that down too. So that way the sleeve can slide over everything. The reason why I also need to make sure there's no holes, besides making sure it's nice and strong, is when you put a new insert in, from what I understand, you tend to want to put some oil in here to help transfer heat from the strut itself to the casing. So yeah, that's where that left off. And here's this one. Still a little warm, but I think I got everything. I don't think there's any holes. So yeah, well, what I've got to do next is get my screen back. There we go. What I've got to do next is go through, grind everything. Well, let's do my sanity check real quick. Make sure this thing still appears to fit in there. It'd be a bad time to find out it doesn't. I'm not sure how well this thing's gonna thread on right now with all the extra heat. So far, so good. Gland nut appears to be nice and centered. At least it looks like it from my angle. So next up, grinding. Let's go. So the grinding is taking longer than I was hoping. So what we're going to do is, you see that I'm still in the middle of this one. You can tell there's still a lip there. Haven't touched that one, or that one. So we're just going to jump forward to, you know, finishing and things like that. And here we are. All four of the struts are mostly ground down. I did find, let's see if I can show you real quick. I have one hole. I should have probably prepared a little more. No, I think this one's good actually. I think it's this one here. Which strut tube do I look at? Oh, anyway, I guess it really doesn't matter. But anyway, all four of these are now ground down, where the coilover sleeve will slide all the way there. Yoink. So, off camera, or before the next video, I'm going to go through, grind these down a little more, because I don't think the spring perch, so there should be a metal collar or a metal ring that I'll have to slide down here and weld on. I don't think it'll slide down because this has a little more play. But what I'm going to do before I start filming the next one is just finish grinding everything down, because this just took forever. I mean, when you're working and then you've got other life things, you don't get to work on it that much. But I did buy this to go through and do all the grinding. And with me having the shaky hands, probably can't see it right now, But being able to hold the struts there with two hands right here, one hand on each side, and just slowly rotate it and get all the shit off it, it worked. So I think that will be it for this video. And with that said, this is part, 3 or part 4? Thank you for watching. Have a good day. Bye-bye.